Welcome to Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free, a podcast for people who are ready to clear the physical, the mental, and the emotional clutter that's been weighing them down. I'm Melanie Cohen, your host, coach, and guide. Each week, we talk about the clutter you can see and the clutter you can't. The stuff in your home, the noise in your head, the expectations, habits, and unmade decisions that quietly drain your energy. This isn't about perfection or minimalism. It's about creating space for what actually matters in this season of your life. Let's lighten up together, starting now. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free, the podcast where we talk about all things clutter. And today I have a special guest. I'm going to read her bio and then we're going to chat. Wendy Taddeucci is a life coach and soul protector for high-achieving women who are overwhelmed. Women who carry a lot, do a lot, and hold everything together while quietly putting themselves last. Through her coaching, speaking, and signature community, the Peaceful Pages Collective, Wendy helps women move from chronic overwhelm, burnout, and emotional overload into a life of ease, clarity, and reclaimed inner peace. After a pivotal moment in 2017, a painful wake-up call that revealed how deeply disconnected she had become from herself, she rebuilt her life and work around one unshakable truth. Connection is the antidote to overwhelm. Today, she carries high-achieving women back to themselves, helping them honor their needs, create boundaries that protect their energy, and feel safe living with more presence and peace. Women working with Wendy don't just survive, they learn how to thrive with more calm, purpose, and self-trust. Wendy is the creator of the Self-Care Sanctuary Journal, a guided journaling tool designed to help you integrate peace, clarity, and self-connection into your daily life, and the founder of the Peaceful Pages Collective, a community built with women, not just for them, using their very co-creative, ease-filled methods she teaches.
That's a long.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna read what goes in the show notes also. If you're listening and thinking nothing is technically wrong, but I'm exhausted from holding it all together, Wendy wants you to know nothing is wrong with you. Your nervous system just learned to stay alert. And then I'm not going to say anything else because I want to give Wendy a chance to talk. Wendy, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. I had to start chuckling when you said I have my special guest. I'm like, oh, I'm special.
Of course you're special. Wait a minute. What would all the women you work with say with you questioning the word special?
No, I was laughing as in I'm special, like I eat the glue kind of special, or just, you know what I mean? I'm just making a joke. This is what I do. I'm funny. I laugh.
Then,
and
girl, we are both special if that's the case.
oh my gosh, we're so special. Yes.
My goodness. Okay, so first of all, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Tell us more. I mean, we hear what incredible work you do. I think we want to hear more about the path that led you to the work that you're doing right now.
Oh gosh, my can I swear on this podcast?
You can swear all the fuck you want. This is Brooklyn, baby.
Oh, from my fucking awful 2017, right? That's when things shifted. I was talking with someone yesterday and she wanted to know the same thing. And I'm like, girl, not only did I hit the wall, I hit it and I slid down it. Like it was bad, but that was the start that got me where I am today, right? So that moment, I had finished my coach training in 2017. I was just coming out of being a professional organizer for like 12 years. That wasn't the cause of it, by the way. It wasn't. Right. So I was at that moment where I had to decide, do I want to continue to keep being a professional organizer? Do I want to be a coach? I had to shit or get off the pot. And toward that time, my goodness, I was chosen to speak at a NAPO conference. You're familiar with NAPO, right? Girl.
North American Professional Organizers or National Association of Professional Organizers. Yeah.
That's it.
I tell people all the time, I'm not an organizer. I'm a declutterer. Don't
You're a
ask me about
declutterer.
organization.
Which I love that. I love that because, yeah, two different things. So anyway, go to this conference and I'm speaking and I decide for this 3-day conference, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm just going to, right? Brilliant. I'm just going to stay in my bubble. I'm going to practice my speech and practice it and I'm going to nail it. And right. So I wasn't connecting with anybody, right? I went to the classes or whatever breakout sessions and, "Hi, how you doing?" And I went back up to the room and practiced, and, well, guess what? I was scheduled to speak the last afternoon, the last session of that conference, and I said to myself, talk about manifesting. I said to myself, "Well, Wendy, if you bomb, don't worry about it. You just have to get on the plane and get your ass home."
Mm,
So guess what happened? I bombed. I bombed. People walked out. Like, it wasn't a good I know, it wasn't a good feeling. That happened. And yeah, I got on the plane, got myself back home, but on the way home on the plane, I had a little talk with myself and I was like, "Oh, what could I have done differently? That really sucked. That was awful." Right? Hit the wall, slid down it, right? I'm now on the floor. And I thought to myself, you probably should have connected. You shouldn't have isolated yourself. Hello. And so that was the beginning of my way out. And about that same time, because I was a high achiever, I'm a recovering high achiever. I'm a recovering type A personality. Um, I was so wound up. I was getting sick. Like I was having some weird symptoms and it wasn't good. Turns out it was
mhm.
stress. Turns out it was stress and my nervous system was really jacked up. And so when I started connecting and having conversations and asking for help and taking better care of myself and breathing, that's an important thing to do. That's that's the journey, and that's when I fully let go of organizing, stepped fully into coaching, and I have not looked back since.
Hmm. It's like the worst moments create the best things somehow, right? So on the plane, you're thinking to yourself, what would I have done differently? I mean, yes, you would have talked to people, but what would that have looked like?
Gosh, it just energy is in everything, in everyone, and right? And so by connecting with others, my energy would have been different. Because my energy was different, it would have been felt different in the audience. Connecting, relating with my story with others, with whatever I'm sharing on the stage. That's what I would have been open to connecting and not focused on, I got to practice my speech and I got to nail it. It's not what it's about.
I'm reminded on a regular basis how important community is. Like, I shouldn't have to be reminded of it, but it comes up all over the place. And yesterday, I had a terrible moment. I'm going to be honest what it is. So, the podcast is called Lighten Up, The Art of Living Clutter Free. And my program is Lighten Up, the Clutter Free Mindset Method. Whenever I do anything, it starts with Lighten Up. And I got an email from someone saying that she had a hard time with lighten up, that somehow it her meant calm down, lighten up. And that's not my message. And all I thought to I mean, like, in that moment, I'm the worst. I should have done more research. And so I'm like, I consulted my inner circle, but like, I should have consulted more people. No wonder I don't have more clients. Like, I went through the whole thing, shut down. I was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm not working anymore. And I typically work until like 6. So I didn't get everything done. And I woke up this morning. I'm like, I'm going to have a different day. I'm going to have a different day. And I started working and it's like that voice is still in my head. And then I went on a networking session and money mindset. I got so much love, not because I said that, but the love was there. They all loved my lighten up live decluttering session last week. Okay. And in the chat, they're like, I think lighten up is perfect. And at the end, when we were doing celebrations and call outs, like 4 different people celebrated me. And I
Isn't
was
that
like,
gorgeous?
this is why not because we
Yeah.
should need the external. Some of us need the external a little more than others. Not that we should need that, but boy, can it help when you're having a really hard time picking yourself up. And so when I
Yes.
hear you talking about how, like, had I gotten to know people, they'd be sitting in the room and all of a sudden you potentially would feel calmer and more capable of sharing your genius with the room. And I love that you're willing to share that story.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have been up until like, I don't know, 3 years ago, I started sharing it. 'Cause boy, was
Wow.
I embarrassed, it was shameful, it was right, so I thought. That was my
Mhm.
superpower, that was my turning point, that Like, because really, doesn't everybody go through something like that? It's part of the human condition. You're going
100%.
to fall on your face
Right.
many times.
And
You
how
should
many
start.
people in that room with you remember that? Like, how many of those people are like, "That's the worst
Mm.
speaker I ever saw." Do you They're not
That's a
thinking about it,
great
right?
question. I know someone that from that world. I might ask her, "Hey, you remember?" I don't know. We'll see what she says. That's funny though, because
Chances are they don't.
here's the interesting thing. If she was in that group, and I think she got over it because she's now my coaching client. That is
You
so funny.
see?
I'll have to ask her. Were you in that room when I bombed?
Or I wonder if what
Yeah.
you thought was bombing may have bombed for the people who left the room, but that there were people in the room that actually were responding positively to what you
No,
had to say.
it was a shit show. No, guaranteed it was a shit show. It went sideways real fast because of this girl. You know what? But that's how you learn. Sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. This girl. It is what it is. But I'm grateful for that experience. As weird as that sounds, I am grateful because if with that experience notwithstanding, I would not be here today.
Right. I hear you 100%. So, one of the reasons I have you on a
Yeah.
podcast about clutter is that what you navigate is mental clutter, which I
Mm.
are say arguably that the mental and emotional clutter is the heaviest of the clutter
It
that
is
we
the heaviest.
carry. And
Indeed.
so when we're lightening up, what we're doing is releasing clutter. It's like off our shoulders, out of our head, it's off our backs, all those things. And you just did it. The sigh,
Mhm.
all this
Mm.
stuff has been, well, I said I'm not an organizer, I'm a declutterer, so it's like not everything got put away, but we removed the things that weren't serving us
That's
anymore.
it.
We got rid of the things that didn't
Yeah.
have the good energy,
Right.
and if it's got bad juju, let it go. And I
Let it
don't mean
go.
to make it sound that easy, because it's
It's
not. That's
often
why I
not.
have people working with me, right?
Right.
But you're talking about hanging on to a lot of mental clutter when this was in 2017, you said?
2017.
When 9 years later, you're still telling the story, but
Yeah.
telling it for a positive purpose as opposed to,
Right.
"Let me tell you about this time where it just really sucked."
Right. Exactly. I'm putting it out there for good.
You are. You are, because so many people have been in that same situation. Like, it's amazing how we hang on to, like, I could tell you exactly what that person said to me in that moment that I did that thing, and it was 40 years ago or more.
That's the other part of it, right? The other part, we tend to navigate toward the negative. We always remember the negative. Isn't that funny? And we have to train ourselves to go, no, what went well today? What am I excited about? Like, it's that training.
Yeah, 100%. So tell me what it looks like
Mhm,
working with you.
mhm, mhm, mm. Well, it is a boatload of fun, let me tell you right now.
I believe it.
No, it is. So what it looks like working with me. The first thing we do is that we just get that nervous system calm down. And we do that through breathing practices, meditation, journaling. We start very, very softly because when you can calm your nervous system down, even just a little bit, then it's kind of like, you kind of open the shades a little bit. Oh, it's getting a little bit lighter. And the more you do that, the brighter and more clearly you can see. And so, as we're journaling and as I am holding space for someone, what does that mean? I'm just letting them talk and I'm asking the right questions and then holding more space so that the person in front of me gets clarity, gets those aha kind of thing, right? Oh, that's why. Now I understand. I can choose to do this. I can choose to let go of that. And so when that starts happening, when you start releasing what's no longer serving you, man, your confidence gets stronger. Your belief in yourself gets stronger. And that's when you start designing the life that you desire.
Mm,
And when they're designing the life they desire, they're putting in place and letting go of things that no longer serve them. They're putting boundaries in place, right? Because you teach people how you wish to be treated. You're always training them.
right.
Um,
Right.
and then when they get everything in place, that's when we celebrate. That's when we celebrate. Look how far you've come. Because oftentimes, how often do we stop and look back just for a moment and celebrate? This is where I was, and look at me now. Oh my gosh. And just really getting into that gratitude. That's another thing I practice and I share with my clients. Instead of getting up in the morning, how many of us are like, oh gosh, I got to do this today. I got to do that. I got to talk to this person. What if instead you started your day with, what am I looking forward to today? Doesn't that just like shift the energy? Because when you're in gratitude, when you're in joy, it changes your energy. It changes your outlook. It changes your focus. It changes everything that comes into your orbit. So that's what it looks like working with me.
You make me think about how we can say, I have to do something or need to do something, or we can say, I get to do something. And it sounds weird with some sentences like, I get to do my bookkeeping. I can say it only so many times, but it serves us well. I say all the time
It
with
should.
the people in my life that the words we choose
That's it.
have such an impact on our actions. And
Yeah.
so it may be semantics, but one person's word may not sound great to us and vice versa. So it may be hard to say I get to, but what happens when I keep saying it that way?
Well, so you brought up a great point. Here's the thing, the words that you say and the thoughts that you think create your reality.
Yes.
So when you shift it over into get to, I'm looking forward to, that shifts how you feel internally and externally and your beliefs that you believe you are worthy and deserving of all the good that is just waiting to come into your life.
Right. 100%. 100%. So I wrote a couple other things I wanted to make sure that we
You
touched
did.
back on.
Okay.
One was you were talking about asking questions, and I think the best coaches ask the best questions.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
I'm going to say
I'm a
advice.
lazy coach.
I'm in all fairness, I love giving advice, but it's not always my advice that's going to help somebody. So keep
Mhm.
asking them the questions so they can figure it out for themselves. If they ask me, but what would you do in this situation? I will tell them, but as much as I can, I'll say things like, well, for me,
Mhm.
with me,
Right.
and how, like, that's really important. And yeah, I love that you said, well, I'm a lazy coach. No, you're
I
not,
am.
because you're thinking the right questions.
But no, here's why I say I'm a lazy coach. Instead of, this is what I got from one of my mentors. She said, "Be a lazy coach." And I went, "What the fuck are you talking about? Be a lazy coach? What the hell do you mean?" She's like, "Here's what I mean. You're
Hmm.
not doing the heavy lifting. They are. All you're doing is holding space and you're asking a question that'll help them clarify for them their thoughts and their feelings, right?" And I went, so yeah, I'm a lazy coach. And because it's not me doing the heavy lifting. And the other thing is I believe, and I have believed this even when I was an organizer, that the person in front of me is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, which means they have the answers within them. It's inside of them. They know this. It's just my job to help pull it out.
Pull it out. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, I wrote one more thing down. I don't know what you said. I mean, enough time has gone by already. But I wrote process, not finish. And I think the idea was that, appreciate the
Mm,
process, not the getting there. The getting there is great, but I think very strongly you're not going to appreciate being there if you didn't appreciate the process getting there. Whether the appreciation is, I'm proud of the fact that I did it, or maybe the appreciation is recognizing that the steps that you're taking to get there are actually fun or interesting or, offer learning in a way that you weren't before. Can you think at all what you might have said that would have inspired that comment?
No, I will just pick up what you said. I don't know what I
Go
said
for it.
either. When I'm talking and I don't know what the hell I said, it must have been good. I would just say that you're so right. The process, I would say the journey.
Mhm.
The journey is so beautiful. And when you are in it and when you're aware of it and celebrating, all of it, the highs, the lows, the whatever, this is boring. It's the journey that is magical.
Mhm. 100%. So, can we talk about you having been an organizational coach before, even though that's not what you do now?
Well, yes, and I wasn't an organizational coach at that time. I was just a professional
An
organizer. The
organizer. Okay, fair.
coaching didn't come in until much later. I wish I had that element in the beginning.
'Cause I know a lot of organizers out there who don't have coaching skills, and as a result, I think are doing a lot of telling and not a lot of asking. Back to what we were saying before about
Yeah.
asking the right
Mm,
questions.
yeah.
Okay, but how did you get into that in the first place? Into the organizing?
Oh lordy. So I was working as a legal assistant at a law firm, and I thought for sure I was going to retire from this job. No hint of a lie. Right? I
Mhm.
love the people. I liked what I was doing. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see myself here. No problem. And then something changed, and my boss changed and he became an asshole.
Mm,
And the dynamics in the office changed. And I was
mm,
like, "Ugh." And then one day, this was a beautiful day. And kind of like me bombing at the conference, this was a pivotal moment. I'm so grateful for it. My boss said something to me, and I was just like, all right, I'm done. And I said to him, I quit. I'm out of here. My chair was spinning, and I was like, "Pfft, whatever. Bye." And so that next day, I was like, huh, what am I going to do now? I could go back into being a legal assistant. Maybe what else could I do? And I don't know how I got here, but I found NAPO, National Association of Professional Organizers. And I went, you get paid for helping people organize their junk drawers? Because oh my God, I loved, even as a kid, like I always loved putting things away and organizing my room. I was that kid. I was the kid that organized the medicine cabinet and the kitchen and bathroom cabinets. I was that kid. Oh, yeah.
mhm.
And, so that's how I became an organizer. I just was like, "Okay, I'll just give this a shot," and I did it for 12 years. Yeah, long time.
It's a long time. It's a
It's a
long
long
time. I feel like so many of us, I mean, sure, an attorney, probably a fairly linear path, doctor, probably a fairly linear path. But so many of us were not where we thought we would be when we started. And
Yeah.
not only not where we thought we would be, we went places we had no plans of going to on the
Mm.
path to where we are now. I talk about it
Yes.
all the time. Like the circuitous path that we're on to get to where we are, like that's the journey you're
That's
talking
the
about,
journey.
right?
That's the journey.
And
Yeah.
appreciating that journey. I don't know about you, but so I was a weight loss coach for 20 years and I was told over and over and over again, you should just start your own business. You should start your own business. And
Mm.
one, I'm gonna be 100% honest. 20 years ago, I was like, life coaches, please, therapy, not coaching. Okay, so I've grown up a little since then,
I
but
thought the
I say
same thing, by the way, when I heard life
okay,
coach the
good.
first
All
time. I'm
right,
like,
we're
"Really?"
together. And so I didn't do it. And I also said things out loud like, well, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the entrepreneurial knowledge. And I was led to believe that where I was the best that it was going to get. And when I decided to leave because I knew that it wasn't the best, it just took me, 20 years to figure that out. I went to another job that I was really, really loving. I've talked about this on the podcast before. I was really loving it. I was digging the people I was working with. I loved the work I was doing. And 5 weeks later, they laid off 23% of the company. And there was a part of me that's like, I left a sure thing, which the second that those words left my mouth, I realized that wasn't a sure thing, that you left for a reason. But maybe the universe is telling you just do your own thing. So I said I was going to do my own thing and I got a logo. Thank you, Moki, if you're listening. She designed my logo for me. Anyway, the point that I wanted to make was that while I was doing all that, I also got another job because I was so afraid that I wasn't going to make money. And a week into the job, I knew it wasn't right, but I was like sticking it out.
Mhm.
A month
Right.
later, both the owner of the company and I, because it was a startup, we had a meeting of the minds and it was like, you're not for me and I'm not for you. Like,
Yeah.
let's move on. And that's when I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. But it's amazing how many things had to happen for me to listen to the universe, you know?
Girl, same. I have got such a hard head, and it's like, are you listening now? Okay, yeah, sorry, yes, you get my full attention.
Isn't that amazing? And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's based on so much mental clutter. I'm not good enough. I don't have the experience. There's someone out there better than me. There's someone doing what I want to do better than I am. Like all of that mental clutter that, I
Mhm.
mean, I don't want to make light of it. You don't just go whoosh and it leaves. Like that doesn't happen
If it
like
were just
that.
that simple, I'd be out of a job.
You and me both.
I mean, that itty bitty shitty committee keeps
Yes. And let me ask a question though, because like while I feel like I'm also helping people
yeah.
who are on the itty bitty shitty committee, I also am a board member of that committee.
I think I'm president. Yeah.
Okay, you could be chairman of the board. So talk to me more about the women who come to you. When they come to you, what are the things that they're saying?
Wow. So our first conversation, that typically is just a, like, get to know you conversation, but then they're like, "Okay, I really wanna have a serious talk." That's the gentle support conversation, and what I hear in those conversations is, "I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do next. I can't keep taking care of everyone else. I don't know how to have fun. I don't know how to relax. I don't know. I can't sit still. I can't sleep. You name it. It's that in that line."
So, you're the creator of the self-care sanctuary journal. I think I think self-care is so important, but I also feel like the words self-care
Mhm.
are completely overused and often used not necessarily in the right way.
Mhm.
Your
Agreed.
thoughts on that?
100%. So, in one of my keynotes that I don't bomb at, it's thriving through connection. And I tell the story of, well, when I bomb. And I talk about self care being reimagined, right? So, self care is not a bubble bath. I mean, it can be part of it. Self care, when you really drill down to it, are boundaries, right? I'm not doing this anymore. And instead, I'm going to rest because I deserve it and I'm worth it, right? That's essentially what self care is. Does that make sense?
100%. I feel like because I talk about it a lot, I have because I've been a coach for
Mhm.
almost 25 years. But I fear that people are like, I got my mani pedi. Let me tell you something. I do mani pedis and
They're
it
great.
does feel good.
Yeah,
But I feel like the self-care is the inner work, not
it
the
is.
outer.
100%.
And it doesn't mean that it's not the outer work. I think they just need to be coupled together. And a lot of us are seeking out the bubble bath, the massage, the shopping trip, which we all know great dopamine hit, but it's not self-care, not if you're spending on things that you don't need in the
Yeah,
moment. But I feel like part of it is because the inner work is really hard. So doing
it
something
is.
hard doesn't sound like self-care. But to your point, if that hard work is that part of the journey that we get to appreciate
Mhm.
and love the experience so that when we get to whatever the destination is, we appreciate it that much more.
100%. Could not agree more. And you're so right. It's self care is the deep stuff. And that's why in the journal, there's 30 days of journaling prompts around guilt, how to release it. Because what I have noticed is until you forgive yourself and you release the guilt, it's going to be harder on your journey into loving yourself, into self-care. And self-care is it's releasing the guilt. It's setting up boundaries. Hmm, it's loving yourself enough to stop pushing so hard and rest. That's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree so much. I love that your journal utilizes prompts because I think so many people really aspire to be the people who journal, but can't or don't. I was that person.
Same.
I don't know how old you are. I'm gonna assume we're close in age. And all I remember is when I was a kid going to the stationery store around the corner from where I lived. And, they had like, stickers and all the stationery stuff. And we would buy diaries, Little Star Twinkle and Holly Hobby and all the things. Okay, so you do remember kids of the 70s and 80s. And
Ugh,
I would get
yeah.
it home and I would write in it for a day or
Mhm.
two. And then I would either break the lock on it or I'd lose the key
Yeah.
or I would
Free.
just stop. I would just
Right.
stop journaling.
Yeah.
It wasn't until decades later
Mhm.
that I was introduced to the concept of
Yeah.
guided imagery and
Yeah.
prompts and things like that, both in meditation and in journaling. And it was like, oh my God, look at me. Write and
Oh,
write and
girl.
write.
Yeah.
I just needed that little oomph. Like, how
Mhm.
about you write
Mhm.
about X today?
Right.
I do it a little differently now. I give myself a theme for the year.
Nice.
So this year I'm writing about abundance. So every day forcing myself to write about something that I'm abundant in now
That's a great
and
idea.
what that abundance will be in the future. I got it from a great coach.
Of course.
I got it from a manifestation coach. And she wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily encouraging doing it that way. That was just like what I received in it.
Yeah, your take. Yep.
I had done gratitude journal, and this one was like taking it
Mhm.
a step further, like, being grateful for a thing that I don't necessarily have, but if I keep saying I'm going to have it, I'm going to have it. Right.
That's the way
And
it works.
then, yeah. So I'm not going to go through all of the different variations that I've done, but I
Yeah.
think I like it as like a theme for the year.
Mhm.
And it's usually like a month or two before that becomes habitual. So it becomes easier to write about. I don't need that prompt anymore. So many people need that guidance in what they're doing.
Absolutely. And that's why I did it. So there's those journaling prompts and also in the middle to the back, blank pages. Cuz I also have people going, "I hate journaling prompts." No problem. Blank
Right.
pages, go to town. Write, paint, doodle, whatever you got to do to get it
Right.
out of your head and heart.
Yes. 100%. I do. I think it's so important for people to hear whatever your journey is, it's not going to
Yeah.
look like everybody else's. And you
Okay.
shouldn't assume that if that worked for that person,
Mhm.
then that's going to work for everybody. And so you should do that thing in that way.
Ooh,
That's unfair to you because
yeah.
just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Well, and that's a great way to burn yourself out. Is seeing
Yeah.
someone else do it and then go, "I'm gonna do that same thing," and you push and you push and you push and you try to do and it doesn't work out for you, and you're exhausted and you're tired and you're pissed off. No, not what I want for you.
And then throw your arms up in the air and give up, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
T I've done that way too many times
Oh,
in my
girl, I
life.
have too. I have too.
But you know what it makes me think is that it took me a really long time to say things like, I talk about how I had been a competitive gymnast growing up. And for the longest time, I talked about how I quit when I was 17. I quit, I quit, I quit. As
Mhm.
opposed to using verbiage, and this goes back to what we were saying before, I moved on. Or I chose to do something different. It's not like I
Sure.
didn't quit gymnastics and do nothing. All of a sudden, I was running track and playing basketball and volleyball. I loved sports and I loved doing things.
Yeah.
And so much so that I participated in sports that I was too short for. But, I was a gymnast, so I could jump high. But it wasn't about whether or not I was going to be good at those things. It was about participating. I
Mhm.
spent so many years living in that failure of having quit when it was really the right time for me to move on. But it took me decades to be able to talk about it that way. And I think
Mm.
that,
Right.
like you talking about having failed and bombed at that talk,
Right.
we have so many opportunities to use that language. I failed. I was the worst. But all of those things, and it's just like sometimes I'm like, like get it out, get that out of your. Okay, so you talk about being a boundaries coach. Talk about how you help people create boundaries because I think we all know we need them, but
Yeah.
creating them can be hard.
Gosh. So that's a great way that you put it. Helping people create boundaries. I don't feel like that's what I do.
Okay.
I feel like what I help them do is to notice that a boundary in this particular situation would be helpful. That's my job, right? It's holding space, asking the questions so they, gosh, yeah, I am staying up way too late. Like I'll go to bed at 2 in the morning. No wonder I'm tired when I try to get up at 6 or 8 o'clock. You know what? I'm going to start going to bed. I'm going to try to go to bed at 11. That's a boundary. I did not tell them to do that. They just figured it out on their own because they're naturally creative, resourceful whole. They know this stuff. That makes sense?
Um, 100%. It's like I tell people all the time, I'm the expert when it comes to my program.
Mhm.
I'm the
Mhm.
expert when it comes
Yeah.
to clutter. I'm not the expert on you.
Bingo.
You're the expert there.
Oh,
And
so
so
well
I
said.
feel like the coaching relationship is this perfect marriage of two different expertise, and blending them in a way that helps, the person succeed. Okay.
Mm.
This is my podcast about clutter. And I warned you, like I warn every guest, that I'm going to ask you what your clutter is. So when I warned you, you said, "Oh, I know exactly what I'm going to talk
I
about."
know.
So first of all, what is it and why were you so certain?
Oh my gosh, for the last 2 years. So, I think when I hit 50, 49, 50, I was like, "Oh my god, I have too much stuff. I have stuff that no longer resonates with me. I have too many papers. This is freaking ridiculous." And I was at that point like, "Oh my god." So, it has been a journey, sometimes really frustrating. Like, I can't get rid of this stuff fast enough, right? And I can't get rid like, the whole thing, right? So the last 2 years, I have been getting rid of paper. I've been scanning things that I need to keep, shredding what no longer I need to keep. The things that no longer resonate with me or have meaning for me, like are a past version of me, donate, get that out. And so I still have clutter. I'm still working on it. I'm almost there, but guess what? I have another filing cabinet downstairs full of old papers, but one thing at a time. That's my clutter. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
So, ha ha ha. I got a question for you.
Oh
So,
God.
you had been an organizer. So, you helped someone with that stuff. Were
Did.
you aware of it then, or did it take like that middle aged wake up call?
Was I aware of what?
The stuff being too much. Or maybe it wasn't too much then.
Yes.
And
Yes. So in this whole process that I kind of shared the cliff notes of my past self and how I was so tightly wound and so like, I was too busy. I was way too busy doing nonsense, right? Working so hard, working my nervous system into a frizzled out mess to deal with any of it. And I just didn't have the bandwidth. I did not have the bandwidth to just give this any thought or even consider what might I do. I just knew there was a lot, right? And so then when I finally healed myself and did all of the hard work, that deep internal work, yeah, it's hard. Not a lot of fun a lot of times, but boy, is it worth it. When I came out of that, not that I'm totally out of it, because for the rest of my life, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm all here. I'm all about it. It was only then that I had the bandwidth and I had the energy and I had the power to go, "Huh, that no longer serves me. It needs to go." And being graceful with myself and giving myself so much kindness and going, Wendy, it took 20 years or whatever to get here. It's going to take some time to get rid of it. So one step at a time.
Sure, sure. I love it. Well, I think part of what you said is that implication that we're not cured or fixed. First of all, because we weren't sick or broken, we may have felt broken, we may have felt run down, but to assume that even if I'm an expert in something, it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I mean, like perfect. I hate that word, but we end up
Yeah.
using it all the time.
Right.
And so it's just like, so my father's in recovery. He's been clean 34 years or something like that. But he doesn't say recovered. He says in recovery,
In
you know,
recovery.
which means that, anybody, whether they're in recovery from drugs or alcohol or other things. In recovery means it's something that I'm always going to be working on.
Oh,
Doesn't
yeah.
necessarily mean it's could be hard work, but it's not necessarily heavy work because
Hmm.
the value is seen. Like that, I know what it took to get here. In my
Right.
head, I'm like, if that were me, I know what it took to get here. I am not going backwards. I'm not going
Right.
back to that life. If it's drugs or alcohol, it could quite literally kill you.
Absolutely.
Or you can go bankrupt, lose your home and your business, and be estranged from your daughter for a few years. But, that that was just in our life. But I think it's
Yeah.
so important to say that now so that when you're on the journey that it doesn't mean when it's over.
Hmm. Yeah.
You've just succeeded at learning how to continue it or maintain. I worked in weight loss, so we talk about maintenance. I think in clutter,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about
Hmm.
maintenance.
Right.
I think any way that we care for ourselves that it leads to maintenance. So thank you for bringing that up.
Mm. Yeah, of course.
What do you want listeners to take home with them today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was thinking about that ahead of time. If I could leave you with one thing, it's this, that just a breath. Give yourself the love and the space and the grace to just stop. Deep inhale, exhale, and just notice. That's it. That's it. Just give yourself that gift. Because how many of us just race through the day? And then before you know it, it's 7, 8 o'clock at night. And you're like, what happened? What did I do?
And how
So
many of
just
us
stop
do
and
that
think,
holding our breath,
oh, yeah, I'm forgetting how to breathe.
right? It's so funny. I was just watching yesterday or the day before I was watching, so everyone should know we're recording at the beginning of March because this is probably not going to air until May or June sometime. But Alyssa Liu happens to be the gold medalist in ice skating, but she was being interviewed and she was talking. I mean, like everyone's talking about, like her attitude was so positive and amazing, difference from the other athletes. And one of the things that she talked about was just taking a deep breath. Now, arguably for her, 4.5 minutes is the long promo. 4 minutes, some
Oh, okay.
ridiculous amount of time that you're like skating and jumping and spinning and all the things.
Right.
And she was talking about how important it is to breathe. And I realized how many times throughout the day I find myself holding my breath. Like
Mhm.
everyone says that breathing is like the most natural thing. If it's the most natural thing, why am I holding it so often? Well, that speaks
Yeah,
volumes
it's a great
to
question.
the burnout
Yep.
and the fear and all of those other things. So I'm so happy you mentioned breathing. It doesn't have to be meditation. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be, like
just breathe.
fancy breathing techniques. Like just stop and take a deep breath in and let it all out. All it needs is one, right? Just one.
Really, just one.
My goodness. Thank you for mentioning that. I think that's the best way to finish is just everyone, like, before you stop listening, take that deep breath.
Mhm.
Wendy, thank you for being here.
You're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you for listening to Lighten Up the Art of Living Clutter Free. If this episode resonated, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use just a little bit of lightness. If you're ready for deeper support, you can work with me one-on-one or join my Lighten Up Clutter Free Mindset Group program. You can find all the details at my website, thoughtfullycoaching.com. Until next time, progress over perfection. Messy action is better than no action at all. So let's lighten up.